On today's show, the United States opens to unvaccinated international travelers. Good morning and welcome to Daily Travel News and Updates. My name's Davey, Alastair, and we will be bringing you daily updates on all things pertaining to travel. If this is of interest of you, then hit the subscribe button right here and turn on the notification bell to get the most up-to-date travel news. On today's show, the United States opens to unvaccinated international travelers. Airline stocks soared ahead of eased U.S. travel restrictions. Planning a trip to New York City, what you will need to know. Russia and China fight COVID outbreaks. Thank you guys for joining us today. This is only our fourth show, so if you could please help us by hitting the like button, that will help the YouTube algorithm put us out there and get more views and continue to bring you the most up-to-date travel news. Thank you for being a part of the Travelwel community. The United States is opening its doors to vaccinated international travelers today, welcoming many visitors who have been shut out of the country for over 20 months. But with new requirements going into effect for U.S. air, land, and ferry arrivals, there's bound to be some congestion as the rules are rolled out. According to Delta Airlines CEO Ed Bastian, it's going to be a bit sloppy at first. Many Delta flights due to arrive on Monday are 100% full with high load factors in the following weeks. Delta has seen a 450% increase in international bookings in the 6 weeks since the US reopening was announced. A gradual recovery seems to be in the cards for international air travel. Airlines are still bringing back employees and aircraft sidelined because of the pandemic. Staffing issues, which could be exacerbated by employee vaccine mandates, have complicated operations for some carriers. The United States is largely wide open, although there are some states and local restrictions that still apply. For example, there are mask mandates in Hawaii, Illinois, New Mexico, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, and Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico also require masks in indoor public spaces. In some cities, including New York and San Francisco, there are vaccine requirements for indoor public spaces, including restaurants. Los Angeles indoor vaccination requirement goes into effect on November 8th. Hawaii, which had some of the strictest early requirements in the US, will now align with the new federal rules for international air travel. Although capacity restrictions in the state are easing, there are still limits in some places. New York, Miami, and Los Angeles may see some of the most significant influxes of international visitors. Before you go, getting vaccinated is a key requirement for the vast majority of international travelers hoping to enter the United States. Children under 18 are exempt from the vaccination requirement. The CDC has the full slate of air travel requirements on its website. Which vaccines are accepted to enter the United States? As of November 8th, the approved vaccine for travelers are the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, Pfizer and BioNTech, Moderna, AstraZeneca, Covaxin, Covishield, Sinopharm, and Sinovac. People are considered fully vaccinated by the CDC 2 weeks after their second dose in a 2-dose series or 2 weeks after a single-dose vaccine. Mixed dose vaccines will also be accepted. Some participants in vaccine trials will also be considered fully vaccinated. Now that the United States is open, you may be planning to travel to New York. Here's what you'll need to know before going. Nearly all pandemic restrictions were lifted in June in New York State. As of 70% of New Yorkers 18 and older had received their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccination. However, a key to NYC vaccination requirement became in effect in August in response to the Delta variant surge. It requires proof of vaccination for patrons and employees of the city's indoor dining, fitness, and entertainment venues. Starting November 8th, fully vaccinated travelers from any nation will be allowed to enter the United States, including New York City. Unvaccinated travelers from abroad will no longer be allowed, with very limited exceptions. Among those exceptions are unvaccinated children under the age of 18. All travelers over age 2 entering the US are also required to have a negative COVID-19 test taken within 3 days of departing for the United States. Restaurants, movie theaters, and other venues are currently open, but their indoor spaces are only open to fully vaccinated patrons. Patrons younger than 12 who are not yet eligible for vaccination will be allowed inside with a face mask requirement except when they are eating and drinking. Broadway has reopened, but you must be vaccinated to attend, and masks are required except when eating and drinking. You can see a listing of shows at Broadway.com. The Empire State Building's 86th floor observatory is also open. The Metropolitan Museum of Art, like all NYC museums, requires visitors 12 and older to be vaccinated, and children 2 to 11 must wear a mask. Masks are required indoors at the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island. The subway system continues to operate on a 24-hour basis. If you're planning to visit NYC, please comment below and let us know where you plan on going. Russia and China are currently fighting COVID outbreaks. COVID cases in the world's largest country by area have hit a record high, with close to 274,000 new cases reported in Russia in the past week and only 34% of the population being fully vaccinated. This rise means that US Centers of Disease and Control have added Russia to its list of very high-risk travel destinations, the criteria for which is having more than 500 cases per 100,000 residents in the past 28 days. There are now nearly 80 countries on the CDC's no-go level 4 list, including the UK, Greece, Switzerland, and Thailand. China is doubling down on its zero COVID strategy. All across the Asia Pacific, from Australia to South Korea, countries are easing restrictions and reopening borders as they move away from zero COVID strategies, but China is holding out. The country is working to contain its most widespread COVID outbreak since Wuhan, although recent case numbers are still only in the hundreds. A single COVID case at Shanghai Disneyland on Halloween sent the whole park and adjacent Disneytown shopping district into lockdown. Despite fully vaccinated more than 75% of its population, China is sticking to its policy of closed borders, lengthy quarantines for international arrivals, and local lockdowns. Well, that wraps up today's daily travel news and updates. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the Travelwel YouTube channel to become a part of our travel community. My name's Davey Alastair, and we'll see you tomorrow.